But basically, the purpose of this webinar tonight is just as it says on the first slide, is the how-to nominate people. And I decided that I would also take you through each award, and I tried to condense each award as much as possible, leaving out any important information. There'll also be a section on endorsement letters, and then at the end, there'll be a section on the review process for the awards, how they're reviewed by the committee and the board and all of that. So anyway, if you look at the first slide, I have a little quote there that I thought was very fitting by Voltaire, and it says, "Appreciation is a wonderful thing. It makes what is excellent in others belong to us as well," which is very, very true, because when we recognize people and we thank them, it affects all of us in a very positive way, and I think it motivates other people to then acknowledge and appreciate other people down the line. So, and the key to this is to do it well, do it often, and make it meaningful. So you just don't have to recognize people during the official award season for GSHG. People should be thanked on a regular basis, even if it's just a simple thank you, or ending your email with a thank you, sending a quick note, making a scrapbook card, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. But every time I send an email, I always try to say thank you, even to my fellow colleagues, my staff members. I'm always cognizant of that. And the nomination deadline this year for nominations, and I always try to look at the cookie sale delivery dates, and I try to stay away from those as much as possible. So the deadline this year, 2018 or 2018 coming up, is February 15th by 5:00 p.m. So what are the steps for the recognition application? The key, first of all, is to read each recognition award category carefully. And I want to mention, well, I'm going to get to that in a second. Fill out the appropriate nomination form for the adult recognition that you're looking to nominate someone for. Answer all the questions fully to the best of your ability. The more thorough and accurate you are with all of the paperwork, the better it will be for you and for your awardee, hopefully, that will get the award. When letters of support are required, please use a letter of support form. We do have one on our website, or you can draft your own crafted letter on whatever paper you want. You can type it, whatever you want to do, as long as it's legible and we can read it. And also, it's a good idea for you to save the letters and your nomination forms, anything that you send to us, as a backup, so that after you've put all that hard work into the nomination and the letters, if something should happen, technology is not always 100%, neither is the fax machine and all of that, and scanning. It's always good to have a backup for yourself. And it's important to mention that all letters of support must be written by individuals other than the nominator. And the nominator really shouldn't influence the letter writer. The letter writer should be someone that the nominator has chosen, that is familiar with the nominee, obviously. In terms of if a person is up for what I call a milestone of membership, and that includes which we're going to go over more specifically in the next few slides, includes the numeral guard, the volunteer years of service, and the Daisy Leadership Pin. And basically, all of those pins are for years in Girl Scouting, participating in Girl Scouting, which is different than a nominated award, because these are self-nominated, but they do need approval to be ordered during the official award season by the service area manager, or whatever the designate is. If there's not a service area manager, maybe a staff membership person, and so on and so forth. So then the service area manager gives the approval, and then they fill out, once they have a good grasp of everyone getting any milestones of membership, they then fill out a service area award summary form, which is also on our website. And our website has PDF forms that can be completed, as well as the WUFU online format. So you have two ways that you can submit any award information. So like it says right there, if you go to our home page, go to the volunteer tab at the top, go to volunteer resources, and then there is a section, a whole page devoted to adult recognitions that has all been updated. Now, I've looked over everything as thoroughly as I can, but what you have to realize is I'm going from a full booklet that's on there, separate nomination forms, online WUFU forms. Is it possible that I can make a mistake? Yes. I'm a human being. I'm going to make a mistake. So if you see something, let me know. You can email me directly, or you can always go to the Adult Recognitions email addy that is on the website. Okay. Now we're getting into a section on the milestones of membership, is what I like to call it. So this is the numeral guard. And what's important about the milestones of membership is that we really rely on volunteers to keep track of their milestones of membership. We do have spreadsheets and whatnot that we keep track of who's gotten what award and what year. But I know even as my own person, like I had gotten my 40-year pin, I think it was 2 years ago since I've been here. So I know in my mind when I'm up for my 45-year numeral guard. So it's important for us to also keep track of our years of membership. So this recognizes the total years of membership for girl and adult years together. So if you started as a girl, for example, I started when I was 7 years old, and then I went through seniors, became bridge to adult. So my years in Girl Scouting are fitted with the numeral guard because that recognizes girl and adult years. And basically the criteria for all of our awards, the basic criteria are that obviously the person be a registered member of GSUSA with Girl Scouting. The person is in good standing with the council, owes no council debt, is following the policy, so on and so forth. They're an active member, and they've been a member at least for 5 years. So all of these milestones of membership are given out in 5-year increments. A lot of times I get forms where, and I think sometimes people just fill them out hastily or just in a rush or what have you, or they just forgot their years they've had in. They'll put oddball years like 7 years, 9 years, and so that's when we make a phone call. We email the person and ask them, you put this down, and we just remind them that this is given in 5-year increments. So this is a self-nominated award. It's on the honor system that the person is, giving us their true number of years in 5-year increments, and then is approved by, like I said a few minutes ago, by the service unit area manager or adult recognition chair or staff member. It's really great if the service areas could have an adult recognition chair on the service area team, because that's the way for the awards to be promoted. And the more people that we could get in those positions, and also to take a training like this, like you're having this evening, the more equipped they will be to provide information to promote at all your meetings and other events that you have. We can't do enough to, and that was one of the questions actually, how do we encourage and motivate others to nominate great volunteers? We just continually have to get the word out there, and you're our best spokespeople to do that. The next one is the Volunteer Years of Service pin. This recognizes just adult years in Girl Scouting. So if your experience, which is just fine, absolutely fine, has just been an adult, you weren't a Girl Scout, this is the award for you. And again, it's in 5-year increments. It's a self-nomination, which that self-nomination form is also on the website, either a PDF or through the WUFU system online. And that's given in 5-year intervals. The same approval process is in place. And once the recognition chair or the service area manager or the two working together, because it's important for them to communicate, has a good grasp of how many people are getting volunteers of service pins or numeral guards, Daisy leadership pin, which is the next slide, they can put that all in one form. And when they do that and send that to us, it makes our work life so much easier because instead of getting a piecemeal. Sometimes we get a piecemeal and that's fine too. And then we have to get in touch with, the recognition chair in the service area or the service area manager and just double check things with them. And this year, Kelly is going to be overseeing the milestones of membership submissions that we get in on the mailbox or whatever we get faxed to us or scanned. So the next one is the Daisy leadership pin. This is it's a time-sensitive award, not retroactive, and I'll explain what that means in a minute, but it recognizes an adult volunteer who has served in a troop leadership position as leader or co-leader in Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia for at least 3 years. Now, there's been back and forth with what the criteria should be for this since I've been here, and when I came on board in 2013 and I was in a volunteer manager role, there was even questions that I had posed to my supervisor at the time. A lot of these awards like this and others that we're going to talk about that are local council awards were legacy awards from the legacy councils. And of course, all of that was before Roseanne, as I like to say. So I recently got what the criteria should be from the creators very recently. And if you've been around with adult awards for a while, you notice that there might be a change. As I said, it's now which was intended to be that people who are recognized are those as a troop leader or a co-leader or served in a troop leadership position on a troop leadership team. And the years of service are from October 1st, 2014 and be completed by September 30th, 2017. And then registering, they should be in the process of registering if they haven't already for the new Girl Scout program year. And that's actually the criteria is the same, like I said, from all of these basic criteria. This is a self-nomination form honor system, and these, and I forgot to mention something about the volunteers of service and the numeral guard. If a person is 20 years or more, they have the option to receive that their recognition, their milestone of membership pin at the highest award ceremony. But they have to it's good if they let their adult recognition chairperson know or the service area manager. And then even if that gets written on the service area awards form, as long as we know that, then we can make sure that their information gets in the program on what we call the adult award insert will go into each high award ceremony program. Basically, that program lists all the gold awardees and the silver awardees and whatnot. And we want the girls to be the focus because that's what we're here for. But we also want to recognize our adults. So there's an insert that goes into the program. So if a person decides, for example, that they're going to the ceremony in their area, and I've already funneled the pins out, let's say, sometime in April, and then they change their mind and they're going to go to Macon, but I've already sent the pins to Augusta. I have no control over that. So if there's a change, the person needs to make their decision of what ceremony they're going to attend ahead of time as much as possible. Okay, other info about the milestones of membership. Now, I called Girl Scouts of the USA last year because there had been a question posed to me from a volunteer about can you have both pins, both the numeral guard, which recognizes girl and adult years, and the volunteers of service, which recognizes adult years. Can you have both pins, and can you wear both pins? So I called, and this is basically the answer that I got that's written in green here. It's customary to wear just one of the customary. See, it's not rigid. It says it's customary. It's not mandatory that you can only wear one and not the other, is what I'm saying. It is customary to wear just one of the applicable membership pins, either the Volunteers of Service or the Membership Numeral Guards, but not both. Our council will provide only one of these pins to the recipient as a gift and during the official recognition intake process, usually from November through May. Once this period elapses, then volunteers are responsible for the purchase of these on their own, but they should still be getting permission from the service area manager or adult recognition chair that they're up for that number of years in that award. As I said, if it's 20 years or more of service, they have the option to receive it at the highest award ceremony, and they have to let us know that so we can properly recognize them and get their name in the insert in the program. If a volunteer, after they get their pin at the ceremony and they leave, and then the next week it breaks, they have to replace the pin. If that happens. If they're at the ceremony and someone's going to pin it on them and the clutch back or whatever breaks, then of course we're going to replace it. So the service area award ceremonies may be submitted to our department through the end of March. And that's about the timetable, because I have to have enough time to then, make sure I have enough time to place an order, and then have enough time to pack all those pins for the ceremony. And there's a separate packing of pins for the local service areas to then give local pins that are not given out at the ceremony in their local areas. So I have to have enough time to get all that sorting and distribution done.
Hey, Roseanne.
Yeah.
We had a question via chat, and I think you did answer it, but I just want to make sure Michaela gets the answer to her question. She says, can they get both year pins the same year? So, for example, if they get 10 years for girls and 15 for being an adult, they would get the 15-year volunteer years of service and their 25-year numeral guard, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the council, they have to just tell us which one they want the council to purchase or as a gift, and the other one they would have to purchase. Okay, so now we're getting into the criteria for the official awards. The awards where a nomination from an outside person is needed. In other words, the milestones of membership were self-nominated by the individual who is up for a certain number of years, be it in 5-year increments. This is different because this is where a nominee, who most of the time doesn't know they're being nominated, is being nominated by other people, and they're not doing this themselves. So the candidate is a registered member, must be at least 18 years of age at the time of nomination, is active with the council, must have done what's required to be a volunteer. Approved volunteer is the background check and the volunteer agreement file with council. They're not red flagged for any council debt or any issues with going against policy or what have you. They demonstrate a spirit of loyalty and dedication to the Girl Scout movement. They're, as we said, with all our volunteers, because they all touch girls in some way, making sure they're a good and positive role model. And they've had experience for the position that she or he holds. And basically, this is critical. Number 8 is really important because their expectation of their position, they give service above and beyond just their troop leader or product sale manager, what have you, that they're going beyond what their general position description states. And that's really critical when you're thinking about nominating for someone for an award. It's always good to, good to look at their position description. And if you're in a service area and you have service area team members, you should have a description of their position. If you don't, we're happy to provide that information. So you have something to look at against what the actual award criteria says, so you know if they're going above and beyond. How to nominate, the basic guidelines. Carefully review the criteria for each award category to ensure that all requirements have been met. It's really important, and I'm going to say this a lot, tonight is give clear, concise facts, specific dates as much as you can. It's more important that you give specifics, and less of the, what I say, the fluff and flowery language. Yes, so-and-so has a nice smile. Yes, she's cheery. Yes, she has a good disposition, but that's not enough. We need more concrete information in the nomination form and in the letters. And that's been a real weak point. When the Adult Recognition Review Committee looks at the letters and it's all fluff and there's no facts, no specifics, you know, they put them in a difficult position. So the more specifics, the better. Be sure that all letters of support, if applicable, are attached to the nomination form prior to mailing or submitting the forms electronically. It's really important you carefully choose the individuals who are going to write those letters. You know, they should know of the nominee. They should have some idea of what the nominee has done. And they should be able to express, again, details, specific examples of the nominee's contribution in terms of the award they're being nominated for. The letter should be clear and to the point as much as possible. And again, can't emphasize this enough, that the letters must be written by individuals other than the nominator. We have had one and the same, and I think sometimes it's because people are pressed with the deadline, and at the last minute they realize, oh God, I got to do a letter, and it's sent in by the same person. Then we've got to go back and say to the person, I can't accept this. It's after the deadline. I can't accept this because the letters are also written by you. Then they get upset with me, and I'm trying to follow the guidelines in terms of the deadline. And when I have other people that are following those guidelines and others are not, puts me in a tough position.
All right, Roseanne, we've had a few questions come up, so I'm going to stop you right there for a sec.
Okay.
Stephanie wants to know, can they purchase pins other than self-nomination ones? Like, let's say someone breaks their appreciation pin. Can Stephanie go and purchase that to replace it?
All they have to do is, because we don't stockpile those pins, all they have to do is let me know, and I can put an order in for them.
Okay, awesome. Next question. Everyone consensus would like a copy of the job descriptions.
What position description?
I believe they're speaking to like service area, like your Adult Recognition Committee chairperson, that job description. And yell at me if that's not what you guys are speaking about. Yes, service teams.
Oh, they want the Adult Recognition Chair position description?
They want them all. So all of the service unit team position descriptions. Okay,
can you make a note of that?
Yep, I already did. Just shouting it out. Okay. And then I think the last one, why does it have to be two different people? So the person that's nominating them, why can't they also write the letter?
Actually, in the nomination form itself, there's a section where they give credence to why this person should get the award. So actually, it would just be duplication, and we want to think broadly about these awards, and that's why we require another letter other than the nominator, because they're already writing technically there's a whole section, both electronic and on the PDF forms, where they will write their testament, if you will, as to why the person should be getting the award.
Okay, and then can the letters be handwritten or can they be typed and then signed?
The letters can be handwritten, and I'm going to get scanned in and sent to the review committee. If it's handwritten, it has to be legible and no writing in the margins and scribble. And we have had that, and it's been very difficult to decipher what the nominator has written. So I just caution you that if it is handwritten, that's fine, but it has to be legible, and it has to be ink or something that when we scan and send to people, they're going to be able to see it. Okay, how to nominate, basic guidelines. Again, continuing, only a nominator will receive any and all communication regarding the status and outcome of a nomination. The nominator should communicate the status with the endorsers and service area team members as needed, and that would also be the adult, recognitions chair, if they're not necessarily the nominator anyway. We send a status letter to the nominator. So once we get all the packets in, they're sorted, they're sent to the Adult Recognition Committee, and we do all of those reviews by teleconference. They're given their packets. We try to send the packets to them at least, a week, well, at least a week out if we can, or at least 4 days ahead, 3 days, whatever, so they can look at everything. So once all that is done, including the board level awards, which I'm going to talk to in a few minutes, then we send all the letters out via email to the nominators all at once. And that gives them the status of their nominee. Then the awardee will be mailed an invitation postcard to attend the ceremony. And as always, how the mail is, it's not always 100%, and especially, the postcard. And so, and it's a very nice postcard that we do. And we send that to all the awardees, which includes all the girl awardees as well. It's always a good idea for the nominator to back this up as well. Now, it's up to you as the nominator if you want this to be a surprise, because the postcard is just generic. It's just going to tell the awardee that you've been elected to receive an adult award at the highest award ceremony. It doesn't say what it is. So if it's up to you as a nominator if you want to tell them what they're actually getting. We leave that up to you. But anyway, in general, we rely on the nominator to inform the awardee as a backup to the postcard. And I think it's just a nice gesture, obviously, to let that awardee know from the nominator's point of view that they nominated them. I think that's just a nice thing to do. The service unit area level awards, like for example, the milestones of membership that I just covered that are below 20 years are given at local or service area events at your choosing. So I know some service areas, they may give them out in May. Most of them do. So that, or during the summer or whatever they elect to do it, that's where those pins are giving, like the Daisy Leadership pin. And if somebody elects not to receive their higher award other than a milestone that's perhaps higher than a milestone of membership, they have to let us know that so that we can pack that pin to go to the local service area to be given out. It's always nice if it's a higher level award that, there's a good number of people there so that person can be recognized. We can still put their name in the adult award insert in the program. We just will know not to have them come up to get their award at that ceremony. But again, that has to be communicated to us. And that's what we heavily use the adult recognitions mailbox email that we have. It's not just for award paperwork submission. If you have a question or you want to let us know something, send it to that email. That's kind of our clearinghouse for everything, and we'll communicate back to you that way as well. Council and board level awards will be presented at a regional ceremony unless otherwise specified, which is what I just said. Continuing on with the guidelines here. Again, the deadline for submission, if you're going to submit by fax or scan, or you're going to submit electronically, is by February 15th by 5 p.m. Now, I try to keep to that deadline, but as you can see, I have a little asterisk there. If there's an emergency situation or other critical circumstance, do contact me, and we handle those on a case-by-case basis. God forbid someone passed away in someone's family or something like that. I mean, if you don't tell us, we won't know. You need to tell us if you need a little extension based on that. Nominations may be submitted, like I said, by fax, in person, electronically. You can drop them off in an office. If you're going to drop it off in an office, make sure you label it and let us know what it is and who it's supposed to go to. So the more thoroughly you label it, as you can imagine, we get a lot of mail into our offices. We route things, Pony Express, and everything really needs to be labeled properly. And what the full page of info, what that means is we have, like I said, a full page of info on our website, which another question someone had ahead of time was, do we have a copy of a printed copy or publication of every award? Yes, we do. There's an adult recognitions booklet on the website now that it's a booklet, has everything, a lot of what I'm covering tonight, in fact, with you, is all in that booklet plus more. Again, there's our mailbox, adultrecognitions@gshg.org. Nominators will be contacted if there is missing or incomplete information with a deadline to resubmit. So constantly, as we receive nominations, I go in that mailbox religiously every morning, every day, and I look at them. If there's something missing, I will get, as best I can, get in touch with the nominators right away so that they have enough time to resubmit the missing information. Now we're getting into the awards. So I kind of tried to go into like a progression here with, I started out with the self-nominated awards, and now I'm getting into the council level awards. And basically all the council level awards, they are reviewed by the Adult Recognition Volunteer Committee, but they don't need board approval. So what I've done is I've kind of started at the lower level, if you will. Every award is important. I don't want you to take what I'm saying out of context, but I tried to kind of go into like a progression here. So, but someone may come in, you know, someone may have just entered Girl Scouts as an adult, and they've done a really bang-up job, and they've done beyond be assisted to every Girl Scout. So it depends on, you know, what the accomplishments have been with the individual person, and perhaps, you know, their tenure in Girl Scouting. So the Be a Sister Award recognizes someone who has provided outstanding service in one of the critical functional areas and practices the values of inclusive behavior. And again, I'm not going to read all this criteria because basically the criteria, like the first 3 or 4 of all of these are the same, for the exception of number 4 and 5, because this is what this award deals with. They understand and practice the values of inclusive behavior and demonstrates a respect for diversity found in his or her community and the world. So basically, this award is around exhibiting inclusive behavior in Girl Scouting. And the letter, there's only one letter that accompanies the nomination form. So again, the nominator is going to write their testament, if you will, why this person should get this award in their actual nomination form. So they have space to do that there. And then the letter will be from someone else that's familiar with the nominee and what they've done towards this award, getting this award. Community Service Award recognizes someone who has demonstrated outstanding service in support of Girl Scouting in the community. Again, the same basic criteria, and it states that outstanding service in support of Girl Scouting in the community. The candidate's service and support positively impacted more than one service unit area or the entire council. And I have to say that when we have the Adult Recognition Committee teleconferences, we kind of give some basic guidelines, if you will, before we start in on reviewing the packets, and actually I send out an email to those folks ahead of time, letting them know what their role is and what the staff role is versus their role on the call. And the reason why I say that is we also go over what a service unit is. I know I don't think if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think I think we have all service areas now. I'm not sure, but I still put the service unit terminology.
There are still some service units.
What's that?
I said there are still some service units.
That's what I thought. So anyway, we kind of go over on the call what a service unit is, and most people know what that is because that's what we've been here. That's the basic structure we've had in most councils across the country. And then we talk about what a service area is now and what a district. So we kind of give that information in the beginning, so people have that on the committee that are looking at the nomination package. One letter will accompany the nomination form, and it's a certificate. And if there's no saying that the certificate, if it's just for this to make it more special, it could be put in some kind of a picture frame or something like that. Courage, Confidence, and Character Award. Again, this is a council level award. This recognizes someone who has made significant contributions to the organization's success through volunteer service and leadership in a community project, as well as demonstrated quality of leadership through service to service units, multiple troops, or girl activities. And with this, and the key word here is courage as part of this, because it says the candidates demonstrated courage, confidence, and character as they make the world a better place, but also doing all of that while overcoming unusual adversity or challenges while still continuing their service. Okay, maybe they had a devastating illness, God forbid, and they were still able to continue the service in an outstanding way. Or maybe they had a family member who, took ill, and they had to care for that person, and they were still able to continue their service in an outstanding way. And that requires one letter with a nomination form. Newcomer Award, council level award, and this recognizes someone who has fulfilled his or her position in an exceptional manner, but candidates only has had less than 2 years of Girl Scout service in their position. The one letter will accompany the nomination form, and there's two levels with this. The first level recognizes a troop leader and co-leader, and that's approved by the local service area service unit teams and presented locally, not at the highest award ceremony. And that it doesn't require review by the Adult Recognition Committee. The one that's more administrative, and the examples there are like the service area manager, product sales manager, or district roles, are reviewed by the Volunteer Recognition Committee and presented at the highest award ceremony. Outdoor Enthusiast Award. This again is a council level award. It's kind of, I think, self-explanatory because it's outdoor. Recognizes someone who has provided outstanding service in a way that furthers outdoor education of girls and adults and has performed at a level that exceeds the expectations. So again, obviously, they need to complete the GSHG Outdoor Skills 101 course. That also could mean if they requested, we have sometimes people that request an equivalency. If they've taken their Girl Scout training elsewhere and they can provide documentation, or even some of the Boy Scout outdoor training will be equivalent, but they have to provide documentation. There's also a questionnaire that they have to complete for the equivalency. So yes, if they are equivalent to the course, that also counts towards completion, towards this award. They provide outstanding service in a way that furthers outdoor education of girls and adults, and the candidates perform at a level that exceeds expectations. So, for example, if someone just is going out to train in Outdoor Skills 101 as a trainer, well, they're a trainer, and that's part of what they do for their trainer position, and it doesn't really go beyond the expectations. But however, if they successfully did a whole outdoor weekend with all these different outdoor workshops, and there was several girls and adults that attended, and that would be credence for this award if they did an activity like that. One letter must accompany the nomination form. Spirit Award recognizes someone who has motivated and inspired others through his or her continuous positive attitude. You know, no matter what, they're always positive. They have a can-do attitude, especially in the face of difficulty. They can't, in their mind, everything is a can-do. They demonstrate an exceptional and positive spirit that impacts Girl Scouting. It's provided motivation, inspiration to Girl Scouts through his or her positive attitude. And again, their service is beyond, their scope is beyond the service unit or area. 2 letters are required for this one, and they get a jacket. And it's a yellow jacket because the yellow is bright and sunny, and it kind of displays their disposition. And usually what happens is the Girl Scout logo is put on there, either screen print, usually screen print most of the time, and then the nominator will let us know of just the first name, or they want the first and last name of the person put on the jacket. So they also get a certificate, and of course they get the jacket. Mickey Hess Award is again a council level award. Recognizes someone who has been instrumental in substantially increasing Girl Scouting membership in an underserved area, or has organized a group that substantially increased Girl Scouting in underserved area. This does not have to be a large geographic area. Could be like a housing authority, detention center, maybe a prison program, jail program, after school program, a troop pathway representing an underserved area. It does not have to be service unit or area wide. The candidate must have sustained service for 3 years and has been actively involved during that time. Now, what's critical here is that there is 3 or more years of membership data provided, because it's a membership-based award. So it has to have factual information in terms of an increase in membership during that time period, reaching out to that underserved area. So a supporting letter has to come from someone in the membership department, basically. It has to accompany the nomination packet, basically with data. It's going to have, yes, it's going to have some text in writing, but there needs to be some numbers. So it has to have data with it. Volunteer of Excellence Award, basically, just give you a little background. In 2011, Girl Scouts of the USA did away with the Outstanding Leader and Outstanding Volunteer Award, which were both circle pins. I think the outstanding, hold on a second, I have one on my desk. Outstanding Volunteer was red, and I think the Outstanding Leader was a yellow pin. Anyway, so the Volunteer of Excellence is what has replaced that. And it recognizes those volunteers who have contributed outstanding service while partnering directly with girls in any pathway to implement the Girl Scout leadership experience through use of a national program portfolio, which we know is Journeys and our Girls Guide to Girl Scouting, or who have contributed outstanding service in support of the Council's mission delivery to girl and adult members. Now, mission delivery involves membership, volunteerism, and programs. So that's what we call MVP. So it can be either one of those 2 things. So the candidate has performed beyond expectations to position to deliver the Girl Scout leadership experience using, and I see a mistake in my slide here, but I'll correct that for the next one. But anyway, the candidate's performance has been beyond the expectations of position and has supported Council's mission delivery goals in one or more of the following functional areas, as I just mentioned a few of them: membership development, community cultivation, volunteer development, which is training or adult recognition, program, leadership and governance, fund development, council support such as IT, customer service, or marketing communications. The candidate actively recognizes, understands, and practices the values of inclusive behavior, and one letter must accompany the nomination form. Now, some of these ones sometimes are difficult in terms of, well, can you give us examples of what awardees have been in the past? So I kind of, I do want to put all this on a slide because it just would be too much. So let me give you some examples. Let's see. There it is. Here's an example. A volunteer program advisor works over the course of the year with a teen advisory committee. The 30 current Girl Scout seniors and ambassadors who plan to deliver 4 performance day camps using content from the Amuse Journey targeted to girls in underserved areas in the council. As a result, those areas had a combined total of 210 junior girl members and 16 new adult volunteers. 90% of the girls at camp also signed up for other opportunities during the year. A college student volunteer who was recruited by IT to help with data entry saw a posting on the council's Facebook page encouraging recognition of volunteers on Leaders Day. She saw the opportunity to use the council's website to make this type of volunteer recognition easy and relevant for everyone to use. In coordination with council staff, she helped launch a recognition page on the website that leverages tools like e-cards and online voting campaigns, highlights real volunteer success stories. Hey, that's not a bad idea. It provides valuable information on ways to thank all volunteers throughout the year. As a result, 4,700 personal thank yous were sent to volunteers last year by council leadership and staff, volunteers, parents, and girls. Nominations for council and GSUSA earned awards also rose by 35%, and volunteers reported feeling highly valued on satisfaction surveys and 22% more than the previous year. So those are examples of using the Girl Scout leadership experience in one and also reaching those mission delivery areas for the Volunteer of Excellence. Oh, I'm sorry, I went ahead. Okay, so now we move on to Appreciation Pin GSUSA Level Award. So what this means, when you see GSUSA Level Award, what that means is this award will initially be reviewed by the Volunteer Adult Recognitions Committee on those teleconferences, and then the recommendations for the Appreciation Pin then will go to the Board of Directors for their review and approval at the March board meeting, which is usually the middle of March. So this pin recognizes outstanding service which contributes to the achievement of the council's goals in at least one geographic area, service unit area, or program delivery audience. The candidate has provided outstanding service to a geographic area in a way that furthers the council's goals. The service that the candidate provides goes beyond the expectations of the position. One of the things too that can be provided to, and I'm not sure if it's something that we have currently on the website. We've been having our webmaster, if you will, she's been kind of going through forms on our website, getting rid of old forms. And one of the things I'm not sure that's on there that we can, and maybe Kelly can make a note of what the council's strategic goals are, because if that's available, then that would be easier to go against what the criteria is for this award and for some of the other awards. So so there is one letter that must accompany this nomination form, and this requires review and approval by the GSHG Board of Directors. So again, let me give you an example. Let me turn to my appreciation pin here. A corporate volunteer who recruits co-workers to lead or sponsor troops or provide career mentors for girls from underrepresented populations in the council. A geographic area director or program delivery team leader whose management of the area team results in an increase in membership ratio in all groups and a stable retention pattern over several years. a consultant who develops and implements an interactive diversity program that helps girls and adults develop a great appreciation of people who are different from themselves. A volunteer who consistently supports the council in ways above and beyond the realm of their volunteer position, which, like I said, it's critical that you know, we look at the particular volunteer position they're holding and see if they're going above and beyond what the position accountabilities and requirements are. Honor Pin, GSUSA Level Award, recognizes an individual's exemplary service in support of delivering the Girl Scout leadership experience, which has had measurable impact on 2 or more geographic areas of service, allowing the council to reach and surpass its mission delivery goals, which is, again, membership, volunteers, and programs. They have provided outstanding service to 2 or more geographic areas. This candidate goes beyond the expectations of their position. So 2 letters are required for this one. And again, this requires review and approval by the board of directors. And let me give you some examples. Okay. The director of a successful day camp that includes 2 or more areas. A volunteer or staff member who directs a membership outreach task group that results in a significant increase in girl or adult membership in underrepresented populations in several areas of the council. A training manager or trainer whose events for an area of the council receive consistently high ratings, resulting in increased participation by adults from several geographic areas. A person who organizes and provides leadership to a successful annual giving campaign that surpasses council financial goals. President's Award, and this recognizes the efforts of a service delivery team, committee, or volunteer team whose exemplary service in support of delivering the Girl Scout leadership experience surpassed team goals and resulted in significant measurable impact to reaching the council overall goals. So I think the key word with a lot of these higher level GSUSA awards is measurable impact. So there's two different levels of this President's Award, and what I know is from working in other councils, every council has a President's Award of some sort, but the criteria from council to council is different. So this is something that GSHG has created with their President's Award, what we're requiring as a council. So the 2 different categories are, the first one is for service area teams. The service unit area managers submit an application for the award to the Council Recognition Committee documenting completion of the criteria and their results. This award requires 1 letter of support from the appropriate staff support person. And a lot of times, if it's a service unit area teams, what we do is if a service area wants to do it at that level, normally what happens is I'll get the request or the form, and then I normally go over to Mary Hurst, for example, who's in my office, and I ask her, what are the requirements that you have for the service area team one? And she will let me know, because a lot of it's like membership goals that have to be met, the number of people on your teams that are trained, does your team reflect the diversity in your area, things like that. For non-service area teams, an individual or group familiar with the service performed submits a nomination and narrative account that documents the service and its scope and impact of the Council's Recognition Committee. And I'll give you examples of what that is in a moment. Again, this requires review and approval by the GSHG Board of Directors. And the form of recognition is, and I had a little difficulty finding this out when I first took this over, but I kind of have a good handle on it now, of where these plaques are. The President's Award basically is kind of what I call like a cumulative plaque, if you will. And so what it is the names of the service delivery or committees or volunteer teams are put on these little plates, and these plaque plates are added to this plaque in succession. You know, maybe they only get it once, but maybe they get it another year, and they'll get another plate on the plaque. And that plaque is then put in that corresponding region or office area. So example, the ones for like this area in Athens, Gainesville, there's a plaque in our office. There's also a plaque for the President's Ward in Savannah, and so on and so forth. So that's how that's handled. And also there's a certificate that goes with that. So potential candidates for the President's Award could be the following. Members of a service delivery team saw the need to better communicate information and opportunities with girls and adults in the area, so they organized a group of 15 teens and 5 volunteers representing all communities in their jurisdiction to create new communication strategies using social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. As a result, 36% more girls attended their local events, 90% of open service team positions were filled, and the council gained 1,350 friends on Facebook. So that wouldn't actually necessarily be the first category. It probably also could be the non-service area team, because it's like a program delivery team. That would fit that particular grouping. The thanks badge, now we're getting into the 2 highest awards in Girl Scouting. And there's 2 levels. This is a thanks badge. This is the first level. Honors an individual whose ongoing commitment, leadership, and service have had an exceptional, measurable impact on meeting the mission delivery goals and priorities of the entire council. That's critical. That's why I bolded that. Or the entire Girl Scout movement. So I think that says it right there. 3 letters must accompany the nomination form. This is a biggie. And it does obviously require review and approval by the GSHG Board of Directors. So here's an example of the thanks badge 1. The chair of the council's Fund Development Committee who develops and implements a plan that significantly increases the percentage of adult-generated funding for the council. So this is at the entire council level. The director of a successful council, a regional wider opportunity that results in increased extension and retention of older girls and significantly positive publicity for the council. And another example that I can think of, like, is when I was in another council, there was somebody that created you know, basic leadership program that GSUSA just loved so much that they kind of clung on to it, and they developed like these, at the time they had like these CDs and things, and so it technically benefited the entire movement, because then that was available for all councils to use. I think it was like, oh, I can't think of the name of it. It was the quilt, I can't think of the name of it, but it was basically like an orientation type module that was created by another council, but then was adopted. GSUSA loved it, and they adopted it, and so that became something that was available to all councils. Builds upon the first one, because it's a thanks badge, someone who's a previous thanks badge recipient who has continued to provide exemplary service in a leadership role, resulting in a measurable impact and benefits the entire Girl Scout movement, okay? So, since the thanks badge, the candidate has provided distinguished service by continuing to perform at the same high level for an extended period of time, or increasing his or her sphere of influence, or using his or her skills and talents to move into another field of endeavor. So if they were doing something driven that was training driven, that perhaps now their other field is their total encompassing, their membership. Work and membership benefits the entire council, as opposed to before their area of expertise or what they were doing was in training. The service the candidate provides benefits the total council or the entire movement. It's so significant beyond expectations that no other award is appropriate. So there are 4 letters. The first one was 3 letters. Now there's 4 letters that must accompany this nomination. Here's an example. A council facilitator who, after directing council-wide training events, successfully implements a statewide or regional training event. So when I was at Girl Scouts of Rhode Island, give you an example, there was the New England Trainers Conference. So we had someone who did this, did a council-wide like weekend, and then this person actually took it, which this person did expanded and came up with the idea of doing a New England regional conference, and that took in all the New England states, Canada, and it was held at Roger Williams University. So that would be an example of, they did the first one, you know, it was more council-wide, and this one now impacts a larger area in a whole section of the country. A board member whose continuous strong leadership and fund development has resulted in greater financial stability for the council, a volunteer, and so that's an example of that one. So what is the recipe for great endorsement letters? Because that's another weakness that I've seen working with Adult Recognition Committee. And I think I alluded to some of this earlier, but it is important that letters be specific, well thought out, and neatly written, typed if possible. But we do accept handwritten ones as well. Again, I can't say this enough, specifics, facts, examples, less fluff and flowery wording. If you want to throw in an adjective here and there, that's okay, but there has to be some substance to it. It has to be specifics, details. Letter content should reflect the total audience served and the variety of service given. Services mentioned in support of a nomination should be recent and should have been accomplished since the nominee last received a national council recognition. So you can't, you know, if a person received an award last season, for example, and now they're up for another award, well, that span of time, 6 or 7 months from the last highest award ceremony, they have to do something totally different and totally more impactful. And you can't use all the information you had in the last nomination packet letter for that new award. So that's, and you know, that's something you have to think about. Letters which refer to different types of service are more useful than multiple letters that all speak about the same single instance of service. Extra letters are helpful only if they provide further documentation of service. So, you know, we don't necessarily want 2 or 3 letters that are saying exactly the same thing by different people. That doesn't, you know, that's not effective. Quality is more important than quantity for writing these letters. You know, you can say something in, you know, 2 or 3 paragraphs versus 6 or 7, which say nothing, perhaps. The letter should be genuinely written simply from the heart and can simply be only, like I said, a few paragraphs. And this is really critical. Actually, this I really thought about today, and when I wrote, I inserted this because I was giving thought to this last night when I was driving home. If the nominator truly, and I say this statement because a lot of times people will say to me, "Oh, it's so time-consuming, Roseanne." And you know, years ago, this was a much more involved process because I've been doing this a long time, and probably people who've been around Girl Scouting who've had tenure know what I'm talking about. If the nominator truly values the nominee, then he or she will take the time needed to nominate thoughtfully and fully with the time and follow-up needed to do a stellar job in representing the nominee and their accomplishments to the fullest degree possible. We all are short on time, but how many of us take time to write lengthy emails to friends or family or on blogs or write reviews, or we take all that time to do that, right? Can we carve out a little time? Like I say to myself, save one for recognitions, maybe over the holidays, like Thanksgiving after you eat your turkey, before you fall asleep. You know, if you're not doing shopping on Black Friday or something, you know, take a look at all your volunteers in your service area. And like I said, if you don't, and this is another question, if you're not sure what a person has received in the past, we can look that up for you. I can say to you that since I've been here, I've created spreadsheets And that since I've been here, they have a total of everyone that's received an award, even the milestones of membership. Now, before Roseanne, there are various files on the server that we can search, but they are all in separate places. So what I'd say to you is, to make our lives a little easier, our work lives, is if you give us a total list instead of all these separate people to look up separately, that would be very helpful. So if you look at your whole group of volunteers in your service area and you're not sure of what some of them have gotten, if you send us a list in that adult recognition email, we can look them up all at once, and that's just makes it easier. We do want to look towards the future of perhaps, which we are looking, I know Kelly's looking into creating records for people for their recognitions and their training records through Salesforce. And that way, everything will be tagged to that one volunteer, all of their records, their training records, including what recognitions they've received, and reports can be pulled. And it will be so much easier for people to access the information. But for now, we're happy to look up the information for you if you're not sure. Okay, so what's required in the endorsement letters? The name of the nominee. I told you about we have to black out the names. So if you could use the names sparingly, that would help us. Maybe 2 or 3 times instead of, 10. The title of the recognition that you're nominating them for, the name, address, and phone number of the person writing the letter of endorsement. I can't tell you how many times we just get a name. We don't get any other information. How the letter writer knows a nominee and for how long. We know what's their relationship between each other. Tell specifically how the nominee has met the level of service required to receive the award. Specifically, can't stress that enough. If different award this time, then different information is needed, right? You can't cut and paste from previous letters because you're in a rush and put it in a new letter for a different award. It's just the committee sees that, they can see through that. So you can't, like I said, the last statement, you need to take the time to fully and thoughtfully write the letters in the nomination form. Include specific examples of the nominee's performance which explain how the service was beyond what others in the same position have done. How the nominee's contribution has benefited Girl Scouting, that's kind of with all of those. Any other comments or information that might be helpful. I mean, I'm not saying more is always a bad thing. Sometimes more is a good thing if it makes sense with all the other paragraphs you've written. If you want to tie it all together and write an ending paragraph with more additional information. Nomination pitfalls. So these are the things that we see a lot that sometimes, unfortunately, may prevent someone from getting an award, or perhaps they get a lesser award than what the nominator originally set out for that individual. Not providing a nomination form or letters that are littered with specifics, facts, examples that support the nominee for said award. Nomination forms or letters that are typed or written that are not typed or written legibly or clearly, and hard to decipher information. Info scribbled in margins, what I call chicken scratch. Nomination letters written in a hurry to make the deadline, and it shows. Enough said with that. Cutting and pasting from one endorsement letter to another and another, obvious. Letters do not support the award criteria. Nomination forms do not support the award criteria. It could be one or could be both. Mindset that a volunteer needs to get in a GSHG adult award every year. We don't want to give the store away. You want to be able to, if you think about it, it's 7 months from the ceremony that we have to the next award season. So, it's not necessary that a person get an award an official award or a board level award or a council award every year. Now, they may be up for milestone membership, and that's fine, but there are other ways to recognize people other than just official council awards. I don't want you to think by any means I'm not promoting, people to get awards. I certainly am. I want that wholeheartedly. But you kind of have to look at things and balance things out so that you don't give the store away. So you get to a point where someone's been in, for example, like me, I've been in over 40 years. So, I could have reasonably gotten all the awards, and then there's nothing else to give me. I've exhausted the award pipeline. So that's just something to think about. Using last year's endorsement letter, I already said letters for the next adult award season. Sometimes, and I've been here, for over 4 years now. So as I look at, and I don't give I remain completely neutral. Any staff person working with the committee remains completely neutral in terms of approval or disapproval. But I do see packets and I say to myself, I've seen that before. And then I look at the archived packets I have. Oh yeah, that's right. I saw it, so I myself see things that are repeated, that are not original and genuine. I think this is the last slide, but anyway, this is the award review process. Again, you see the nomination deadline. The Volunteer Adult Recognition Review Committee for North and South are recruited during the fall months, which is now, for active roles in March. And I have gotten people who have sent me emails asking to be on the committee. Basically, we're looking for people who are registered members, people who have a positive attitude and can think broadly. And then, what we do is we do send out to those people their responsibilities for that role ahead of reviewing any nominations. And we do like a mix of, we'd like to have tenured people, but we'd also like to have new people. They don't need a lot of Girl Scout experience under their belt. They could just be a brand new, volunteer. So we are looking for a mix of people. I think that's always a good thing to have. The nomination packets are reviewed by the volunteer development staff on an ongoing basis as they come in, and prepped for review and then sent electronically to the ARC North and South about 1 week ahead of scheduled teleconferences. Now, North nominees are reviewed by the South, and South nominees are reviewed by the North Adult Recognition Committee. So there's no chance, even after I've blacked out everything, that they would know the people, because they're not looking at people from their area. The names of the nominator and nominees are blacked out. I think I already said that. The adult recognition committees are sent an email by the volunteer development director informing of their roles versus staff roles on the teleconference review calls. Like I said, our role as a staff is to remain completely neutral, impartial. We can provide information as to clarification as to criteria. They can ask us, well, Roseanne, this person put in for the appreciation, but this is the committee people on the phone now. What would be the higher level award, or what would be the lower level award? We can give that information, or if they can't read something that's on a nomination packet, we can provide that clarity. That's what our role is. We don't give any influence to any decision as to approval or disapproval. The purpose of the teleconference is to thoroughly review each nomination and determine if nominee meets all the award criteria for award recommended by nominator. There is a grading sheet for each type of nomination, and on that grading sheet, like it'll say appreciation 1, appreciation 2, appreciation 3. There are no names of the people, obviously. There is a grading sheet for each one, and documentation as the decisions and why are recorded by a volunteer member on the committee and then sent to the volunteer development director, usually the next day or two. There we have the documentation from the teleconferences. the info for board review of nominees for those board level reviews, and also I have to say for the lower council level awards are kept pristine as is and sent to the CEO's admin for a board review. So those are the board level GSUSA awards and President's Award. They're sent to her for the board review in mid-March. The letters are then sent to all nominees from the Volunteer Development Director after the board meeting has concluded. Generic highest award ceremony postcard is mailed to all adult awardees. We usually try to get it out by April 1st. And then, as you know, during that period, which isn't covered, because the adult recognition ceremony itself is shared between my department and the program department. Anyway, that's the date that we set to get those postcards out, as well as people start registering to attend the ceremony. So basically, that's all I have for tonight. I hope the process maybe is a bit clearer for you, or maybe you learned some new information that you weren't aware of.